the next thing is first the hair and then the tattoos.
It's been quite a bit of a question mark. What would happen after the Olympics? One even suggested Mike Tyson.
Do you prefer making your own podcast or this one together with me? Which one is more fun to do?
This one is more fun. The other one is more interesting.
It is?
Yeah.
How can we
I think it is. It is really interesting actually to sit down and talk to people like that for 45 minutes and get into depth with the mind.
With the guest?
Mindset, yeah. I really enjoy
But we're also going to get guests on this show.
Yeah, but
and then it's going
we
to
haven't
be more
done that yet, and you asked now.
Is
so
that
the
what
only
we
way
need
I
to
can
do
reply.
in order to make it more interesting than your own podcast?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so when we do that,
then it's game over.
Then
for
this
the
is the best, the number one Badminton podcast.
Should we get
in
going?
The world. Yeah.
Are you doing the intro today? I will give you some more elderflower juice.
No, wait, because I still have water in here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's roll.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Hello
guys, welcome back to another podcast episode, the Badminton Experience. My name is Anders Antonsen. Besides me sits Hans Christian Wittinghus, the co-host.
Yeah, that's true. So that's me. I'm the co-host.
So that means that I'm the main host and you're the co-host.
We can be like joint co-hosts. That's possible.
Okay. We're both co-hosts. Oliver is the host.
All right, that's fair enough. He's also the king, so yeah.
So welcome back to another episode. Hans Christian has made a great agenda for the episode.
The best one yet.
There's once again there's been many great questions, and we are going to answer a few of them. And we're going to talk about the bear, which we brought up last time, the new mascot for the podcast, and discuss the BWF calendar.
Yeah, they just released a new one.
Yeah,
but I think before we get into all of that stuff, I think we should just explain to people if you suddenly get into a cramp. Why that is. Yeah,
should I do that? So I just did a tough badminton practice. You're going to see it in the vlog. We're going to show it there. I don't know when the vlog will be released, but after this podcast, because we're going to release this podcast tomorrow. So you're going to see that in the vlog. We did a crazy tough badminton session, and Hans Christian was feeding me, and
a multi-shuttle session.
Multi-shuttle session.
How much was it? 1,155 shuttles.
Yes, it was, and
then because you miscounted, you actually got a few more.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I did. It took me like 82 minutes to get through.
Yeah.
So it was one brutal badminton session, and I'm quite tired in the body right now. But we just got home, got a little bit of food, some great sushi, and now we are ready to record this episode.
Ready to roll.
And let's just get into it.
Yeah, so let's start talking about the bear, right?
The bear,
because in the last episode we asked for your name suggestions. We got quite a few good ones. We also thought about it ourselves. But before going into the name suggestions, we actually discovered some info about the bear.
Yeah.
You got an email from...
my mom.
Your mom. So she's also watching, and that's great.
Yeah, she's watching everything that I do.
But that's what moms do, right? So that's cool. She sent you an email saying that this bear is actually like a symbol for Berlin.
It's kind of a mascot.
A mascot for Berlin.
Yeah, for the city of Berlin, and it means something like peace and.
It's a little bit strange, this symbol. Like usually I would say this is peace, but
yeah. I don't know. And there was also some people hitting Oliver up on his Instagram saying that it has something to do with Berlin and peace and stuff like that. So it brings good mood.
Yeah,
you can see it looks happy with his arms raised. But is it a he or a she?
I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like
difficult. It can be anything. It can
be anything. In these times,
but
can be anything.
Yeah, that's true. We're not gonna offend anyone, so it can be anything.
It can be anything.
It can be whatever it wants to be.
But Hans, let's get to the name.
How did you get it?
Yeah, that's a good story. I got it from my brother, who a few years ago, not a few years, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, maybe more, he won a tournament, a badminton tournament, German Junior, which is a strong junior tournament. It is one of the rare occasions where the Asian players also joins the tournaments.
Yeah, here in Europe.
Yeah, here in Europe. Yeah. So he won the tournament, and I think he got this bear, you know.
So you stole it.
And then I stole it from his apartment, and it's been at my place for you know, the last couple of years. And I totally forgot about, you know, why he, you know, got that bear. But it makes sense now that I hear about, you know, Berlin, and it's a mascot for Berlin.
Do you think if he watches the show, he's gonna ask to get it back?
I don't think so.
Do you think he watches the show?
And yeah.
Oh, okay.
I asked him if he have
shout out to Kasper.
seen the previous episodes, and he has.
All right.
So he's a fan of the show too. And thank you, Kasper, for letting us using your bear as the mascot.
And who did he beat in the tournament? We need to say that as well if he's watching, just to give him a little bit of street cred.
I'm quite sure that he defeated Kevin Sugamuljo.
That's not bad.
As all of you know, Kevin is the best men's double player in the world now. But I guess Kevin was like 12, 13, 14 years old. So he was very young.
Yeah, still.
But that's the story behind the bear. Let's not waste the
listeners' time.
That's the
talking
word I was
more
looking
about
for.
that. Yeah, we go straight to the name suggestions. We talked about maybe calling it Berlin or Berlin because it is from Berlin, but we got a few good ones. One said Barley. One said Mowgli, the one from that cartoon, Disney cartoon. Mr. One-Minton. One even suggested Mike Tyson. I'm not sure why. Maybe it looks strong like Mike Tyson. Anthony Growling. So like Anthony Ginting. But the one we chose to go with,
the winner.
Yeah, the winner that we also got from a few of you guys is, of course, Mr. Badminton.
Badminton, that is his name. And he's going to be a big part of the show. He's always going to be in the studio. And I actually thought about bringing him on tour with me.
I think that's
have
a good
have
idea.
him in the back.
And if we ever get to Berlin, we might even buy him a brother or sister.
Yeah, that will be a good idea. So, Hans Christian, the BWF, the Badminton World Federation, just released the schedule for the rest of 2021.
Yeah.
And it's packed.
It is packed. It's been
tournaments.
quite a bit of a question mark what would happen after the Olympics because, obviously, as everyone knows, everything has been cancelled so far this year, or basically everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, now they released one with starting with the Sudirman Cup in the end of September, I think is going to be the first one. There are actually two events, Korea Open and Chinese Taipei Open at the end of August, start of September, but we do have a little bit of inside information, which is actually the second time in this podcast we have that. You remember that? When we talked about the scoring system, we also had a little bit of inside information.
Yeah, I remember.
But yeah, we've heard rumors that those two events are maybe not going to be played, and that means the first one after the Olympics will be the Sudirman Cup that has now moved to Finland. 1 week off, then we play the Thomas Cup, Uber Cup finals, go straight to Denmark Open, straight to Paris French Open. Then some players will join Bitburg or Salar Lux Open. You will probably skip it. I think I will as well because it's going to be too much.
Yeah.
1 week off, and then we go to
Bali.
Bali, yeah, that's going to be quite nice. And I think that's going to be for some sort of bubble system because there will be 3 events: one Super 1000, one Super 500, I think.
One
Super
Super 750,
All
and
right.
then one Super 1000. And then the World Tour Finals
World
also.
Tour Finals,
so it's similar to the one in Bangkok this January. 2 tournaments, and then they round it off with the World Tour Finals.
And we probably need to get there a little bit early for quarantine as well. So it might be another 4-week trip. And then we have 2 weeks off after the World Tour Finals.
Yeah.
Then there's the World Championships in Spain.
Yeah.
So for guys like you, it's going to be extremely packed. I'm not too worried because I might not play Sudhirman Cup probably. I probably won't play the World Tour Finals either. So for me, it's a little less packed. But yeah, what was like your initial thought on it when you saw it?
So the crazy thing about this schedule is the amount of championships. I mean, Sudhirman Cup, if you don't know, it is the World Championships for mixed teams. Then the week after that, Thomas and Uber Cup, which is also the World Championships for men and for women separately. And then there is, of course, the Olympics first of all, right? Then these two, and then there is the World Championships in December.
Yeah. So that's 4 big championships from August to December.
Yeah, and that's insane. And there's not much time to practice. But I guess that's okay because we've been practicing for 1.5 years. So let's just get out and play a lot of tournaments. I'm
also like pretty sure if it was like a normal season and nothing had happened with the corona, we would be complaining a lot. But I have that same feeling that I'm just excited to get going again and get to play. Exactly. I do think it will be a little bit odd when we play the Sudhirman Cup and Thomas Cup so close to each other. I'm a little curious to see if one of the events will be maybe not prioritized as high as the other one, and my guess would be that Thomas Uber Cup is probably prioritized a bit higher than Sudhirman Cup, also because of their history. Thomas Uber Cup is a much older event, and I think it still has more prestige than the Sudhirman Cup. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to gather the same kind of energy for excitement for 2 team championships so close after each other.
And I mean that's why the Olympics is so exciting, because you rarely get a chance to win it. It's every 4th year. But having 4 championships within 3-4 months, that's a lot. And I definitely agree that maybe the excitement of each tournament is a little less. But as you said, and I don't know if I already said it as well, I'm just happy that we're going to play some badminton. Hopefully, let's not jinx anything.
No. But I think it's quite realistic that most of these events will actually be played, also because BWF has decided to move most of it to Europe, where the situation is being handled a little bit less strict than what they do in Asia. Yeah. The vaccinations are also going really well here, so there's a lot of people already vaccinated. So most of the European countries are opening up. And so Sudhirman Cup is in Finland, the Thomas Uber Cup in Denmark, of course. Yeah. So I think it's quite realistic it will be played. I think it's also something to take into consideration when you think about the results, that it will be an advantage for us, for example, that it's in Europe, because obviously all the best Asian nations, they will have to travel to Finland, and then obviously they won't go home after that. They will stay in Europe for the Thomas Cup, and probably also Denmark Open, now that it's been upgraded to a Super 1000. That's obviously positive for us, I guess.
One thing that I really hope gets played and not get postponed or cancelled is the French Open. So there is 2 tournaments in Denmark, Thomas Cup and then Denmark Open. And then the week after, we are going to Paris and going to play the French Open. And I just really hope that one gets played.
With spectators.
Please. With spectators, that would be phenomenal. I haven't... when was the last time? I think it was back in 2019.
I remember you played it once before, because I remember you won a pretty epic match.
I've played it a few times. And it's one of the best places to play, in my opinion, especially here in Europe. Yeah. It's of course I love to play on home court, but Paris is they just have a different way of being spectators.
Yeah, they're very noisy, but they also to me, they're celebrating all of the players. They don't really care if you're Chinese or if you're Indian or if you're Danish or American. They just want to see great badminton, and they applaud it when they see it in court. And if they see that you as a player, you give everything, or you do something that's technically very difficult, I think they will applaud it every time.
They appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. And the stadium is also like quite small, quite intense, right? So the sound level or noise level is up there.
It gets really warm in there, and
that's true.
And as you said, the spectators is really loud, and they have a great way of cheering on. So I don't know if it's a little bit of a. I mean, what they could have done, they could have made another bubble in Denmark. When Thomas Cup, Denmark Open, and then they could have played the French Open just in Denmark or call it something else. But they.
Yeah, but I think it will also be quite strict when we play in Denmark to also satisfy the Asians that are a little bit more cautious about everything. So I don't think we will have free movement like we do in Denmark now, where we can do basically anything we want. But I'm really excited that we have to go to Bali. Like I've never been to Bali. No. I know we're not gonna go there for holiday and just enjoy ourselves, but it's still Bali, so I'm expecting it to be pretty damn nice.
I was there one time a few years ago. I think it was also in 2019.
A lot happened in 2019.
Yeah, it was a crazy year, but it was in 2019. It was my first time there. Crazy place, not a crazy place, but a phenomenal place. A very, very nice place. But I feel like maybe some of the players are going to get a little bit disappointed because I saw a lot of players posting, yes, we're going to Bali, but I'm like, it's probably going to be like a bubble. Yeah. It's not going to be vacation and partying and going out on restaurants. I could imagine that it's going to be quite strict. Yeah, so
probably.
But if we are able to enjoy Bali a little bit, it would be amazing. But I don't think we are.
I heard some rumors about them renting like a big resort only for the badminton event. So if we're a little bit lucky and they have their own little private beach or something like that most of the big resorts do, then maybe we can enjoy it a little bit.
Then you'll know where to find me. Yeah. Can I get some water, Hans?
Yeah, it's not water.
Oh, it's elderflower and water.
Right. Anyway, I think that's enough about the calendar. Yeah. Let's just move straight on to taking on some of the brilliant questions that we got from you guys.
And once again, thank you very much for all the questions.
Keep them coming, please.
The support here after the first few episodes has been amazing. It's been overwhelming.
But it can be even better. So please keep them coming. We will dig right into the first one, which is from Winston Bartle. I hope I pronounced it correct. He's asking why we think that Europe is not as successful compared to Asia, and what can be done to help Europe be more competitive in the future.
Yeah, wow. I don't have the answer for that one. So we often get this question, why is Denmark very successful and the rest of Europe not so much? I mean, we are basically the only country that is able to compete with the Asian countries
in all disciplines. You see other nations, they have one or two combinations.
Then they have a good men's single or a good women's single or a good doubles constellation. But in every category, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I think a big part of it is down to history, basically. Like, there's a very rich tradition and history in Denmark. We have great coaches because of that. The game got to Denmark really, really early back in the days. After it started, I think it started in England, right, back in the 30s. But I think that actually has a big part of the explanation, that it got here early. We were successful from an early time, so we just built up a system from the very start. It didn't happen like that in a lot of other European countries. And I think what they lack in many European countries, from my perspective, is the quality of coaches and a system that's built up where you know how to go from what we spoke about in the last episode, make the transition from a junior to senior level. Because that's where you really need to make like a leap to be able to compete with the Asian guys. I know there's also a difference in the junior years, but the real challenge comes when you make that transition from junior to senior. And I just doubt that there is enough knowledge out there in the other countries, actually, because they don't have the history that we do. I think
that's why you see a lot of Danish coaches out in Europe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also part of the reason why, if you needed to explain, well, why is it then possible for Spain to have Carolina Marin or one of the other European countries to have one successful pair or two? It is that there's always this one-off that's really talented or really working hard. And in Spain, they have Fernando Rivas, the coach, who's also really, really like a clever-minded guy, but he's also working so hard and so focused only on one player. But it's a completely different story when he has to build up a full system of players. So you can always do that where you take maybe one player and make them successful, but building up a big system, it takes more than just a few successful players.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how it all started back in the day, but I think that we are really, really, as a Danish player, I'm quite young. As a young Danish player, you're quite old. I'm very fortunate that I can practice with the best in the world. And for that reason, it's easier to keep developing great players and talents. But the interesting thing is how it all started, I guess, because now that we kind of have, the blueprint of making good players, and they have a great system that they can train in, it's a little bit easier. We have always been told that the club system in Denmark is the reason.
Yeah, I think that's also part of it, but I think that goes into the explanation that we build up this system that just keeps on adding players to the talent pool that we have.
But don't they have clubs in Europe? I mean, in other countries in Europe?
Yeah, well, in some countries they do, but it doesn't work exactly like it does in Denmark. Of course, one factor is as well that we have quite a large number of players. There's only a few European countries that has the same amount of players, obviously. But it doesn't work exactly the same way in all of the countries, but it is part of the reason. But it's not enough just having the clubs if you don't have the knowledge, you don't have that blueprint. And if it was so easy to just get that blueprint and know what to do, then all the other European countries, they would also do it, because as you said, there's loads of Danish coaches out there trying to teach them that blueprint and get it done in other countries. But you can't just make it up in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. It takes a long time.
I have a guess, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I'm thinking maybe the weather has an impact. I mean, if I was living in Spain where it's super warm, or down south, I wouldn't spend a lot of time inside in a hall. I guess I would play football or some outdoor sport. Do you think that has anything to say?
I think it's actually a pretty decent point that there is a bigger tradition in Denmark for doing indoor sports, because we have terrible winters. You don't have that in Spain or in France, or maybe you do in some parts, but not most of the country. I hadn't really considered that, but I think that's a good point. It's probably the first clever thing to say.
I have ever said. I can relate to the feeling of about to do a practice session, and you walk to the hall, and it's the sun is shining, and the sky is blue, and you think like, damn, I should have played football or some outdoor sport. I don't want to spend time inside, and it's super warm in there.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's horrible.
Next question is from Mel Liu. She's asking, what is the key things that you've done that you think has contributed the most to your success in badminton? And I think for me personally, if I had to pick one thing, because obviously it's a mix of a lot of things, it's not one thing that we've done that has contributed to it. But if I had to choose one thing, it's when I started working with a sports psychologist. back in 2013. I think that's what made the biggest difference in terms of me really taking that next step from being a really good player around 25, 20 in the world and making a push to get into top 10 as I did at one point.
Can you open up about some of your struggles and
Yeah, well, of course I can. I think back then I was always a player that I could see that I had the potential and I could play good games here and there, but I was always struggling with handling my own expectations. I think that was maybe the biggest issues. That when I then got to the end of games, I was expecting to win, and now this is my breakthrough, and I started thinking consequences a lot, thinking about if I do win this one, then what does it mean for my ranking, for my opportunities, for even my finances, for everything like that.
It all comes down to finance.
In the end, right. No, so I really started thinking that way, and of course it took me away from my game plan. And what working with the mental coach really changed was not the ability to kind of remove those thoughts, but just controlling them much better. And working with them in a more beneficial way in my matches.
So how do you do that?
Yeah, well, the main thing I use, and I'm not doing it to perfection, because I still obviously have some mental issues every now and then. But what I
Indeed.
Indeed, what I do feel is working for me is using this technique that my psychologist used to call the 3R technique. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
I think it's a classic here in Denmark.
It's something with, break a racket or something.
Nah, you could do that, but I think that's a bad way to do it.
Explain
the 3 R's. They stand for register, release, and refocus. So you need to register your feelings, your thoughts. You need to release them, so let go of them, and you could do that by breaking a racket.
Yeah.
But I would suggest something else.
Yeah.
And then
Me too, by the way.
And then you would need to refocus into whatever you have planned before the match that should be your focus. So it can be anything. For me, it's always or almost always one tactical thing and one mental thing that I think of. So I before every match I think a lot about what mental state I want to be in, how I want to think and behave on court. So that's one of my focuses, and then I have one tactical point that I try to refocus to. And it sounds like a lot that you need to go through this process all the time. Yeah. But in the beginning it is maybe a little bit difficult and a lot to do. But when it's something you just do automatically, it doesn't really take long. It's just a few seconds.
So do you, during a match, if you get some thought, you get nervous or something like that, do you go in your mind, okay, 3R, okay, first I have registered it, and now I need to release, and now I need to, or is it just like, how does it work?
Yeah, it's a bit more fluid than that. In the beginning, I thought like that, and I practiced it a lot in training. So if we had training matches, or even just in exercises in training, I could also work on it, because you can also get thought there about being tired, or I don't want to do this, I want to be out in the sun, for example. So disturbing thoughts like that, where you could work with it. But now it's a lot more fluid, where it kind of happens automatically. But sometimes it doesn't. If I really get really stressed, or lots of things can kind of trigger it, so it doesn't happen automatically. Then I tend to need a bit more help from my coaches, and they try to remind me, ask me, hey, where are you in your mind right now? And say stuff like refocus, or just mention my focus point. Then I know, that kind of triggers me to do this process of register, release, and refocus.
And disturbing thoughts is impossible to avoid totally. I mean,
100% agree.
I mean, I struggle with the same thing all the time, and it's not between every rally, but every once in a while, suddenly I'm thinking about something else, and it could be anything.
Yeah.
like a fun story here. The other day, I was doing a badminton practice, and it was quite physically tough. And when you are doing one of those, you get frustrated about everything.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated about everything in that moment, and I started to think about Oliver, because he was going around the court with the camera recording for the vlog, and suddenly I started to think about why didn't he bought that power bank that I told him to buy. I mean, and then I register it like you say, and then put it aside, back to the game plan. And you need to do that all the time, because there's just distractions all the time.
Yeah. We it is annoying when people don't do what you asked them. Right?
Exactly.
Did you actually buy it?
No. And now we need a power bank.
Damn. But yeah.
Oh, but you get my point.
Yeah, I get your point, and I think even sometimes it's not possible to completely release or let go of that focus. We worked quite a bit on actually just focusing with the other thoughts also there, but just not taking all of the spotlight. We kind of imagine it as like a stage where there was like a play or something, and then the these big lights that always shine down on the actor. Spotlights. They shine down on the actor that's talking. So we were kind of picturing that there's other people on the stage that are just there, but the spotlight is on what's important, so your focus. Yeah. But all the other things are still there. It's just not in focus, right? Yeah. So, but we worked a lot like that, having
very
like
complex.
Yeah, having images like that. It worked pretty well for me, but I think for others it would be too complex. It would need to be something more simple.
My advice would be just to accept it. That there is disturbing thoughts all the time, and you need to just register it, accept it, and move on, because it's impossible to avoid. But that got quite complex. I'm not even sure if
you didn't really answer the question,
and spotlight thing, but hopefully the guys watching did.
Yeah, and if you didn't, then just ignore it or send me a message, and I'll try to explain it, or maybe I will ignore you. Next question is a little bit easier one. We got this one from quite a lot of them from India. They want to know if it's possible to be an international player if you start playing at a late age. Yeah. And that's like 18, 19. Some even asked with the late age.
I get this question a lot, and I don't want to answer it because I don't want to ruin anyone's dream. But if you start playing badminton at 18, 19, I don't believe it's possible to reach the top of the world. I don't think you have time enough. By the time you have practiced like 10,000 hours, or isn't that what you say? You need to practice 10,000 hours to become extremely good at something. By the time you have reached those hours, you're too old.
But I think the question is a little bit more complex as well, because being an international player, what does that mean? If you just want to play international tournaments, you actually don't need a certain level. Basically, you can just enter in a tournament, and if it's not full, then you will get in if you're a member of your national federation. I know specifically in India, I think there's some other criteria, so they don't send just anyone. But in Denmark, if you're a member of a club, you can play any event you want to. So you can always play, but yeah, I think.
At what age did you start playing badminton?
At 5.
Okay.
Yeah, you?
Yes, same.
Yeah.
Around.
But
that,
I agree with you. I don't think you can be world class if you start that late. Obviously, we have different backgrounds. If you played other sports, if you're physically at a very good place at 18 and you start playing there, you have better foundation than someone just starting with sports at that age. But I think it's also going to be quite impossible to be world class if you start that late.
I think that I have heard that Morten Frost, Danish men's single legend, and now the commentator for BWF, right?
Yeah.
I think he started playing badminton when he was 11 years old, and I remember thinking that was a little bit late.
Yeah.
But that's an example that you can still be very good when you start,
Yeah, true.
like 11.
But I would even guess with him that he probably did other sports before that to kind of build a physical foundation to become good.
But 18, 19, 20, I think it's too late, guys. So
to be world class, but still, you should start playing badminton because it will give you a lot of joy anyway.
Yeah.
Nawish Nair, I'm pretty sure he's a Malaysian guy because I love this guy because he's also a listener of A Year on Tour with Wedding Hills.
Oh, yes.
He's asking which training setup we guys prefer: the Asian setup where players stay at the hostel attached to the training center, or the rest of the world setup where players stay at their homes and then travel to daily practice.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure what your preference is.
I'm also pretty sure that we agree on this one.
I am very sure. I think it's a cultural thing, right?
Maybe, yeah. I'm very happy that I have my own place. Just to get away from all the other players out there and
like
like you and the coaches and
But then I would say it's pretty stupid to invite me into your
house. It is. But you'll leave very, very soon.
That's true.
Just after we have finished recording this episode, you have like 5 minutes to leave the apartment.
All right, fair enough.
No, I'm enjoying getting away from the fishbowl. Isn't that the word?
Fish pond, I think.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But hang out with with my friends and people that might not have anything to do with badminton at all. I think that's good for my mindset to get away from badminton a little bit.
Yeah.
In my spare time.
I think, like you said, of course I agree, and I think 99% of all Danes would say that. Yeah. I honestly don't believe a system like they do in Asia would work here. I don't think people would be interested in living that way.
No.
We can do it for short periods, for training camps, stay there for a couple of weeks, but I really don't imagine anyone here wanting to do that. I remember when I went to Korea back in 2011 with a friend of ours, Joachim Persson, huge legend. We went there for some tournaments and some training, and we trained at the National Center in Korea. And they asked us if we wanted to stay at the National Center or in a hotel, and obviously we chose a hotel. But one day we had to kind of stay there for the full day from morning to evening, so we bought one of the rooms to stay in. And it's like I got so much respect for the Korean players after staying there. Okay. They all stayed in rooms 2 and 2 together. There were no exceptions. So a guy like Lee O'Neill, who was at that time already, I think, 32 years old. He had 2 kids at home and a wife. He had to stay there from Monday to Friday with a guy, and he was sharing with a guy who was, I think he was 18 or 19 at the time. So they probably have nothing in common apart from badminton. He can't go home, see his family. So I just got so much respect for them that they were able to live that way.
So they only get to see their family in the weekends?
In the weekends, yeah. And then they're traveling all the time for tournaments. So it was such few days every year that they were actually able to go home. So it made so much sense to me why he actually quit his career a couple of times and became independent before going back to the National Center. Because obviously when he was independent, he could go home and live with his family.
Yeah. So he made his own training setup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know he moved to Malaysia for a bit with his family and stayed there, but yeah, it made a lot more sense after we experienced the system there. But of course, it also has benefits. They had amazing facilities. They had great food served all the time. Everything was taken care of. So I also understand why they do it that way. I don't think it would work here and basically anywhere in Europe.
No, not me either. But hasn't that been a thing out in Korea that players has started their own thing?
Yeah, I think since 2011, quite a few things has happened. Not only in Korea, I think it's getting more and more independent in many places, or it's
also
more
in Malaysia,
possible.
Right?
Malaysia, Indonesia, I think also has more individual players now. Yeah. So I think it's moving in that direction a little bit, but basically the national team setups are still the same. They still live there. But yeah, I don't know if it's still the same rooms and the same rules in Korea as it was back in 2011.
No.
I don't know.
Right. So right now upstairs there's
a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's a bit noisy. I don't know what he's doing, but
it sounds like he's moving some chairs, maybe.
Yeah, and now it stopped. Great.
So we can move on.
Let's move
we
on.
will take the
now
final
again.
the final question, and that will be from Wolf. I don't know if it's the Wolf of Wall Street.
It's a legend.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio asking about mental strength. How do you deal with the setbacks in your career and life, such as injuries?
Once again, a deep one.
It is.
I think in the future I will start to prepare myself for these podcasts.
Yeah, that's a good
idea. So I don't have to come up with the answers on the spot. How do you deal with the setbacks in your career? I mean, it's been going quite well so far. It's been mainly uphill.
And that's proof that you're really young still, because you are going to have setbacks for sure.
Yeah, and I already had a lot of setbacks.
How did you deal with the World Championships final loss? That was a pretty big setback, I suppose.
Was it really a setback?
I don't know.
Placing second in the
maybe
World
more
Championships?
maybe more just a disappointment.
A huge disappointment for sure. I don't really know. I mean, I've received the questions many times, and also questions about my confidence. Where does it come from, and how do you remain confident when things are not going well? And it's very, very difficult for me to answer that question. I don't know where the confidence comes from. I've obviously always been good at badminton. From a very, very young age. I've always been good, so I guess that's a quite clear reason why I have confidence when we talk badminton.
Yeah, I remember we spoke about it before, where you said, like, why wouldn't you be confident?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I've tried to figure it out, and I don't really know. But I had a bad season in 2018. I had a lot of migraines. This crazy headache. I got it a lot, and that was quite a big issue for me, because I wasn't really able to be consistent in my practice, because I all the time I got these migraines. And I remember I was getting quite frustrated and a little bit worried. I was like, okay, if these headaches don't stop, I don't think I'm able to compete at the highest level, because my training is not good enough. And I remember being worried. I did the best I could, tried to adjust how I was living, when it comes to sleep and being more professional with the stuff that I ate and stuff like that. But then suddenly it stopped. I still have migraine, but very rarely.
But I guess you could say what you did was that you tried to take control of the things that you can control.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a way to put it, that's how you try to deal with it.
Yeah.
So if you have something that worries you or is a setback, you try to just take control of what you can. Well, would you say something similar happened after that World Championship final? Would you say there's like one thing you try to kind of said that, okay, I had this experience, what can I do to make sure it doesn't happen again? Because obviously what happened in the final was that your body was
I got my ass kicked.
Yeah, you got your ass kicked. And the reason why you got that is obviously Yamamoto is an amazing player, but we all know that you can do better than what you did against him. So the main reason was that your body was not functioning the way it should, right? Because you were really tired.
I was tired. I was drained. I didn't have any energy left for that match. And I think that I don't know if I learned a lot from that experience, which might be a big shame. I actually had an idea for the vlog which is coming up in next week, I guess. Because I'm watching a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of matches on YouTube, and the World Championship final popped up in my feed a few days back, and I was like, the next vlog should be named "Watching my World Championship final for the first time."
Have you not watched it?
Because I actually haven't watched the match. I have watched the beginning of the match. I was leading 6-2, and then it went downhill from there, and I haven't watched the whole thing. I've watched my walk to the court with the flag. That was a huge success. But other than that, I haven't watched it.
The only problem about
the
only problem about making a video like that is it's going to be really short.
Yeah,
so the match is over in like 5 minutes.
The part of the video of the vlog where I'm reacting to the World Championship final, like 15-20 seconds. That's all. I don't expect me to get through the whole match. I think it will hurt too much. But what I will say, and also back to the migraine situation, and just every time I struggle with something, I try to analyze what's going on. So let's take my migraines for instance. So if I get a migraine attack, I go back, I look at the previous 7 days. Have I been stressed? Have I been eating enough? How's my sleep been? And then try to take notes.
Okay.
And then I'll try to make how do you say it? A pattern, if there is a pattern. And then try to solve the puzzle and try to adjust and
make a plan for how to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ahead,
And I think that might be the right way to deal with struggles in general.
Yeah. Analyze why you're there and then make a plan for,
of course,
getting out of it. I think that's a good way to wrap up that question and also wrap up this episode of the podcast.
Already?
Yeah.
I feel like we just got started.
No, yeah, but we've actually been on for quite some time now, and it's also late, and you need to get up for practice early tomorrow morning. I know that.
Right?
No, actually, I don't have to get up early. I'm not practicing in the hall. I'm only doing cardio tomorrow, so that's amazing.
God damn it!
So yeah. Once again, we just want to thank all of you for all the feedback. We still need questions from you guys, but we also really need that feedback. What you think about the show, if the sound is okay, if the setup, everything. If you have critique, just please give it to us, because we are new to this. We want to improve all the time, right? And we will add timestamps this time. Oliver is not much into it because he's going to do it, but he will do it, Oliver.
She's a little lazy, and that's the issue with Oliver sometimes.
She, whatever.
I said he. I mean, we don't know.
But yeah, so please keep it coming with all of it. We really try our best to read all of it. So even if we don't reply, we are still looking at it and taking it all in. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode.
You said before the episode that you had a surprise question.
Oh! That's right. I'm not sure, did I say it on camera as well, but I said it to you before we went online.
And I've been worried the whole episode.
Yeah, so we will just take that quickly.
Is it that? It's not that one about my personal life?
No.
It is not? Great.
It was a guy, now I forgot the name, because I actually had to erase it when I had to send the agenda to you, so you didn't see it. But he was simply asking, are you going to get a haircut before the next tournament?
Oh, and I just replied, someone on my Instagram also asking me that is the question I guess I have received that question like 500 times.
And why do you think that is?
Because my hair is getting longer, and it's quite natural because I don't cut it. That's actually not true. I got a haircut a few weeks back, but only the, how do you say it, spidserne.
The ends.
The ends of the hair, just like a little bit. No, I'm going for the Jano Jorgensen haircut.
Oh, he's also an amazing guy.
So if you don't know how he was looking back in, when was that? 2013, 2014, something like that.
He looked like a ninja warrior.
And everyone knows that Jan is he's my idol.
Yeah.
I don't know if you didn't know, now you know. He's my idol. And so the next thing is first the hair, and then the tattoos,
and then the twins.
And then the twins. Yeah, congratulations to Jan. He just got twins. Amazing accomplishment. So yeah, about the tattoos. I know my mom is watching. We talked about that. Mom, don't worry. I'm not going to get any tattoos because I know you will cry for the rest of your life. So
that's a good boy.
I won't.
That's a good boy. So was the answer no? You're not gonna get a haircut before the next event. And it doesn't count just getting like the ends done again.
I kind of like my hair a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think it looks better, but that's I'm the only one.
Yeah, well, I honestly I don't remember what you look like with short hair.
No, we'll have to wait and see. It's getting really warm with longer hair at the moment. There's heat wave in Denmark.
It's warm in Tokyo as well,
and it's very warm in Tokyo. I was actually thinking during today's practice, how much water can the hair absorb? Because I felt like my head was getting heavy, and I also wear the headband, and that is getting, totally wet, and that also weighs a little bit. So I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. Maybe I show up bald.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. Great. Thank you very much for watching and listening, guys, and stay tuned for the upcoming content, both my vlogs and more episodes of the Badminton Experience with me and Hans Christian
and Mr. Badminton.
And Mr. Badminton. See you guys. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.